You're listening to the You Like That Story podcast. This is episode number 47. We are in season 3, and this is for the first, second, and third quarter of life, and it's talking about the slippery nature of health. Today's story brought to you by Selby Studios, graphic imaging for family, home, and business. So I Like That Story is a series of podcasts that I use as a way to generate content to help people get the best out of their life, to live a true life of prosperity. When I talk to people and say, well, what do you think that means to you? It's usually these three things. It's health, it's wealth, and it's relationships. And I want to talk to you about health today, probably say some obvious things, but it's surprising to me how little it is addressed. So I have a screwdriver in my hand, a slot screwdriver. It reminds me of the old Andy Granatelli commercials. If you love commercials like I do and did, there used to be a commercial on in the early 70s, and it would be Andy Granatelli talking about STP, the racer's edge. And you'd take this flathead screwdriver and hold it like so by the tip, and you could easily hold it. But if you dip the tip in the miraculous STP racer's edge oil additive, it would slip out of your fingers, proving the superiority of STP. And my dad would say, that does nothing. My dad was an engineer. I'd say, well, what do you mean? He'd said, well, that little exercise neither proves nor disproves STP helping in your motor oil. Any viscous fluid will work. He said, you could do that with honey and you'd get the same result, and you would never put honey in with your oil. So I guess one of the lessons I learned when I was 8 is that you can't believe everything you hear. Self-delusion is one of the things that causes us trouble. And when I say that health is slippery, you are given one body, it must last your whole life, and just like this screwdriver, you must grab it by the tip and hold on. And the way life is makes that harder to do. There are certain viscous habits we have in our life that make this slip away. Let's talk about food, for example. I was watching one of those motor shows where they take an older car and trick it out so it's just wonderful. And this guy had a 1964 Corvette, completely redone, and it was a thing of beauty. So beautiful that when they rolled it out for him to look at, his hands were shaking. He was absolutely rapturous looking at this 64 Corvette, and he did not get in it. Strange. Until you realize that he was 350 pounds. And you realize, if he could get into it, it would take a while. And how is he going to get out of it once he's inside? So even though he apparently had gotten enough wealth in his life to buy this beautiful car, he had ignored his health, and now could he really even enjoy it? I was talking to a guy who had a carpet business. He laid carpet and then managed the business. And then he said, yes, but I needed to sell the business. I realized my health was starting to get the best of me. Joints wearing out, knees, shoulders, elbows, you understand. But what was interesting is that even though he quit when his joints started really getting to him, it was too late because, well, you can replace some joints, but not really all of them. And it was by the time he had realized that his work was, I guess, literally killing him, it was too late. He retired with a large amount of money, but his health had slipped away, just like the screwdriver in Andy Granatelli's hand. And this slipping is almost inevitable in practically any sort of habit that we happen to enjoy. Like the fellow I gave a tour of the cemetery to. he was looking at some place to put cremated remains, his. He was complaining to me first about the price of the cemetery plot, which I guess I understand, and then about the doctors who had misdiagnosed his lung cancer. They missed it for 5 years, and by then it was too late, and he was very angry at them. And I said, well, I wonder, was there anything that maybe brought on this lung cancer? And he thought for quite a bit, and then finally he said, well, you know, I did smoke for 35 years. We think we can get away with doing certain things, but they have a cumulative effect. I really did eat extra large pizzas, entire pizzas, and then finish them up with a milkshake. I did it when I was in my teens and early 20s. My body was capable of handling it, but it was never a good idea. You can work through an entire day and live off of Snickers bars and Mountain Dew, but it's never a good idea. You really can relieve stress through burning a combustible substance and inhaling the smoke into your lungs, but it's never been a good idea. Now, I know it seems like what I'm saying is obvious, but the number of people who shorten their lives because of the behaviors they have is pretty large. And what is very interesting from a person in my line of work, where I will do funerals for people, they will never talk about that. They won't say their lives were shortened because of any sort of habit. They will never bring up an alcoholic. They will never bring up a drinker, a cigarette smoker. They will never bring up somebody who is heavily overweight. You have to figure that out yourself. Now, I'm not trying to say that, this is, deplorable. What I'm saying is that it's quite common. All of us, when given the chance, will do what is comfortable, which is eating stuff we like, drinking things that make us feel better, smoking things that calm us down, and we have a tendency to avoid things that are hard, like maybe exercise, going to a gym when you don't want to be judged. But all of those things are part of our daily struggle. But remember what I said, health is slippery. And if you want a life of prosperity, which would mean good health, a certain amount of wealth, and good relationships, you must focus on your health every day because it's slippery. Well, that's the story for today. My name is Jeff Gould. You can get a hold of me through ilikethatstory.net, which is my website. You might be listening to this as a podcast. If you are, please hit the like or comment or share it. Anything that would get this message out if you like it. If you're watching this on YouTube, you know the drill. Hit like, hit share, comment, something like that. This is how we find out about people we like or people who can help us. And of course, I do speaking throughout the region, so if you want something like that or a book I've written, you can find me through my website, ilikethatstory.net. That's it for today. My name is Jeff Gould. God bless.